Good evening. Today is November 24th, the Mongolian National Pride Day. You're watching News Mongolian World. I'm your host, Andra Batter. And for our top stories, issues related to nomadic cultures and civilizations in Central and Inner Asia Symposium was held on Wednesday. Author Jack Weatherford has been awarded the Order of Chinggis Khaan. 1,000 works in 23 languages from 19 countries about the Mongolian Empire and Chinggis Khan are on display. And for other news, stay tuned. Under the auspices of UNESCO, representatives of the governments of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia and Turkey, which all are member countries of the International Institute for the Study of Nomadic Civilizations, as well as experts from the UNESCO Silk Road program, presented their research and opinions on the issues related to nomadic cultures and civilizations in Central and Inner Asia to the public on November 23rd at the main library of the National University of Mongolia. Today, in numerous regions of the world, nomadic populations are faced with crucial challenges to their current existence, future viability, and especially to their cultural identity. Many are suffering from the decline of their traditional social structures and poverty from marginalization. At the initiative of UNESCO and with the support of its former Director General, Mr. Federico Mayer, the International Institute for the Study of Nomadic Civilizations was established by an agreement signed on September 16, 1998, between the governments of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia and Turkey.
It is very important today's symposium because the nomadic civilization and issues related to the nomadic civilization have been one of the major field of importance for UNESCO. Since early 1990s, UNESCO, in collaboration with the government of Mongolia, was promoting and protecting the legacy of nomadic civilization. Since 1998, UNESCO and government of Mongolia, they established a UNESCO Category 2 Center for a study of the nomadic civilizations. And since now almost 25 years, this institute is working very closely with UNESCO for promoting this legacy of nomadic civilization. Actually, I think the most important challenge for the nomadic civilization is the climate change. Nomads has shown how we can use in a sustainable way from nature, how man and nature can coexist together in a sustainable way. However, the current, let's say, climate change and the crisis that it is generating, I feel it's a real challenge for the nomadic civilization and nomadic people.
The idea for an international institute to study nomadic civilizations germinated during the Nomads expedition in Mongolia. It was organized by UNESCO in 1992 as part of the Silk Road project, when an international team recommended setting up an institute. At the General Conference during the 27th session held in 1993, UNESCO confirmed the recommendation.
Well, this symposium is dedicated to the 5th Extraordinary General Assembly of our institute. The institute, its name is the International Institute for the Study of Nomadic Civilization. So this name tells us a lot, And the member states, for example, the Republic of Kazakhstan and Kyrgyz Republic and Turkey, the representative of the government officials, government, are attending this symposium. And actually the General Assembly will be held on 25th of November. But this symposium is, just before this General Assembly, it is happening. And also, the importance of this symposium is that, the representative of these member states are also scholars. They are very well-known scholars.
The institute, with the assistance of UNESCO and the strong support of the Mongolian State Secretary for Foreign Affairs and the Mongolian State Secretary for Science, Technology, Education and Culture, was created.
I came here second time in my life. First, I came in 1993 during a visit of first Kyrgyz post-Soviet Kyrgyz president Askar Akayev. And now I was invited to the UNESCO meeting here, and this is great that we have a special institute to study the history of the nomadic civilizations. Of course, during the 20th century, especially at the second half of it, we studied the nomads not only like barbarians in the past, they showed it like that, but now we are presenting the nomadic civilization from the beginning as the main part of the whole mankind's civilization. And this is subject not only for one country, this is international subject. And
at present, the institute has 13 full-time workers and has its own information center. International Institute for the Study of Nomadic Civilizations also has 34 associate members from scientific institutions of 16 countries and 143 corresponding members from 18 countries. Today is the November 24th. The Mongolians are celebrating one of Mongolian public holidays, which is named National Pride Day to mark the 860th anniversary of birth of great Chinggis Khan. The first book written about Chinggis Khan is a study published around the beginning of the 18th century in Europe. The story of great Emperor Chinggis Khan's conquest of half of the world is a topic that many researchers of the world are interested in. Today, on the occasion of the 860th anniversary of Chinggis Khan's birth, more than 1,000 rare and precious books related to the history of Chinggis Khan and Great Mongolian Empire are on display at the National Library.
There has never been such a gathering of research books from all over the world about the great Mongolian Empire, especially the great Emperor Chinggis Khan. For example, more than 50 historical works about Chinggis Khan, great Mongolian Empire from South Korea, came only to this exhibition. But this is only a part of it, researchers say. In order to collect all these works, research was done even among the second-hand book trade.
If we talk about the 13th and 14th century, this is the time when things were developing in Korea. According to the writings of many Korean scholars, if Mongolian studies are studied in Mongolia during that period of the great kings, they will talk about the beginning of what we are talking about in Korea today. Europeans colonized some Asian countries. It is very special because Indian researchers have written that the first person in Asia, Chinggis Khan, dominated the Europeans and took some countries under his control.
Mongolian ambassadors played a special role in collecting more than 1,000 works from 19 countries in 23 languages. Even though several hundred years have passed, the countries of the world mostly know about Mongolia because of Chinggis Khan. And it can be seen from today's exhibition that there are many Mongolian studies scholars interested in this theme.
Studies about Chinggis Khan provide such an opportunity to see the whole picture of what this situation is not just in Mongolia, but also in the world at an international level, and in what areas it should be developed in the future. In other words, it means that the basis for development of this research is formed on a large scale.
This book you are looking at is the first Chinggis Khan study book created in Europe in 7010s. The reason why today's exhibition is called the Golden Collection is due to the fact that such ancient and rare manuscripts are on display.
Now let's take a look at other Mongolian current affairs.
On the occasion of the 860th anniversary of the birth of Chinggis Khan, which fell on November 24th, best-selling author and Mongolian studies scholar Jack Weatherford was awarded with the Order of Chinggis Khaan, the most prestigious and supreme award of Mongolia. A specialist in tribal societies, he was a professor of anthropology at Macalester College in Minnesota for many years, and now divides his time between the United States and Mongolia. Jack Weatherford is the New York Times best-selling author of Chinggis Khan and the Making of the Modern World, The Secret History of the Mongol Queens, and The History of Money, among other acclaimed books. Weatherford explores Chinggis Khan's legacy and influence. He attributes many aspects of the Renaissance to the influence of trade enabled by Chinggis Khan and the Mongol Empire, such as the spread of paper and printing, the compass, gunpowder, and musical instruments such as violin. Weatherford suggests that the European Renaissance was a rebirth, not of Greece or Rome, but of concepts from the Mongol Empire.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. The great Chinggis Khan is the main representation of the culture and traditions of Mongolian Empire and the nomadic lifestyle to the world. The source, which is known to us that Mongolia existed as part of the world, is the secret history of the Mongols. Currently, the secret history of the Mongols has been translated into more than 30 languages.
Honoring, inheriting, and passing down history is the root of any country's existence. The secret history of the Mongols contains more than 800 years of history about where the country of Mongolia originated and how it has progressed to where it is today.
The secret history of Mongols is unique in that it proves that the Mongolian language was written in the Mongolian script. The historical source is registered as a UNESCO intangible heritage and is kept in Mongolia as a precious treasure of our country. Chinggis Khan's history can be seen by mankind based on this secret history. Kings used to write with a historian at their side. If that person wrote only in praise of his king, it can be proved that many facts are not credible. The Mongolian secret history neither praised nor maligned Chinggis Khan. Even Chinggis Khan's arch enemy, Jamokh, was not lifted to a high level, and the character was described as a humble person. And Chinggis Khan's flaws were not hidden at all. The Mongolian secret history not only tells the complete history of Chinggis Khan, but also tells the story of his lineage and the ongoing event of the throne of Ogöte Khan. How he ruled and what policies he followed can be learned by studying the Mongolian secret history. It is our duty to know about him to a greater extent. In general, the philosophy of how to develop can be determined from this history. We still cannot explain exactly why there was a need for war. There is an idea that the current world is not functioning well and that the world should establish a new order and create peace. That idea continues, and now, after 2 world wars in the 20th century, the world understands globalization. I understand that we all need to work together, as we will not succeed one by one. But even now we are still fighting among each other, not fully understanding each other, and in the 13th century Chinggis Khan taught us this idea and lived by example.
Somya, as an narrator, says that Mongolia's secret history should be the pride of everyone. She made a secret history by creating embroidery using 180 meters of the blue silk. If we think about it, in working hours, she has created this work over a period of 2 years. In this globalized society, where the word Mongols is used differently, I thought that this work would be a positive contribution. The fact that it is surrounded by 4 colors is a symbol of the 4 continents, and the text on the blue silk that the nations of 4 continents should live in harmony with each other. History is a very precious thing. It contains all the merits, honors, and mistakes that we have committed in the past.
I want every child to be able to know their history well, memorize some part of the secret history of the Mongols, and be able to read it proudly in front of everyone.
Why do you need to know our history, and why are traditions and customs important? There are many examples of countries that didn't know their history, didn't respect their heritage, even neglected their heritage, and it was lost.
Here's the international news from our partner agencies. New Zealand's central bank hiked interest rates on Tuesday by a record amount as it tries to get inflation under control. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand increased its benchmark rate by 0.75 of a point to 4.25%.
The ongoing slowdown anticipated in global growth will affect New Zealand's economic activity through financial and trade channels, and also impacting on people's confidence given the global uncertainty. In New Zealand to date, household spending has remained very resilient, especially considering the rise in debt servicing costs, the fall in house prices and the low levels of recorded consumer confidence. Supporting this robust spending, employment levels are high, and income growth and household savings have been further supporting spending capability. The rebound in tourism is also supporting domestic demand. However, the productive capacity of the economy is being constrained, in particular by broad-based labour shortages, and wage pressures are evident in the economy. Aggregate demand continues to outstrip New Zealand's capacity to supply goods and services. There are a range of indicators highlighting that this is contributing to a broad base of inflation pressures. Subsequently, the committee members agreed that monetary conditions need to tighten further so as to be confident that we have sufficient restraint on spending to bring inflation back to that 1 and 3% target range.
It is the first time the bank has raised rates by more than a half point since introducing the official cash rate in 1999. The new rate is the highest in New Zealand since early 2009. New Zealand's inflation rate is currently 7.2%, well above the bank's target of 1% to 3%. The nation's unemployment rate is 3.3%. The bank also sharply revised upwards its projected peak for its benchmark rate, which it now expects to reach 5.5% next year before it decreases. It predicted a sharp rise in unemployment next year and for the economy to dip briefly into a shallow recession. The New Zealand dollar rose on the news and was trading at around 62 US cents. The US Federal Reserve and other central banks around the world have been aggressively hiking interest rates to battle inflation. The Fed's key short-term rate is now set at 3.75% to 4%, up from near zero as recently as last March. New Zealand Reserve Bank Governor Adrian Orr said the bank's Monetary Policy Committee had agreed that interest rates needed to go higher and sooner than previously indicated to ensure inflation returned to its target level.
Here's the weather forecast of world's major cities. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.